Dodger Baseball. Live from Dodger Stadium, Prime Ticket presents the Dodgers as they take on the Atlanta Braves. Hi, everybody, and a very pleasant Friday night to you, wherever you may be. Dodgers and Braves meet for the 5th time this year. Atlanta has won 3 of the previous 4, and Atlanta winning all 3 in Georgia. Tonight, it'll be a rematch, a battle of left-handers. Hyun-Jin Ryu for the Dodgers, Paul Maholm for Atlanta. Maholm turned out to be the victor the last time they met, when Atlanta beat the Dodgers 8-5 and sweeping them in 3. Hyun-Jin Ryu worked 5 innings of that game and was not involved in the decision. As far as the teams going against left-handers, the Braves are 14-6 against left-hand starters, and the Dodgers are 2 different teams, home and road. At home, they are 8-3 against left-hand starters. On the road, they are a very poor 2-8. So the Braves lead the Phillies by 6.5. Dodgers trail Arizona by 7.5. We got a good ball game coming up with a whole lot more right after this. So just the sight of Puig coming up to the plate, and the place comes alive. 44,195. Que viva Cuba. Viva Yasiel. And a high fly ball into deep right field. I don't believe it. A grand slam home run.
The headline said it all, didn't it? Unbepuigable last night. We have exhausted all of our superlatives, all of our cliches. What more can this kid do? He's only been here 4 days, he's hitting .438, 3 home runs, and 9 RBIs. Jim Watson, Steve Lyons in center field. We've seen it before with Manny. We saw it a long time ago with Fernando, but this one just feels a little bit different.
Yeah, and what I'm impressed with right now is that the rest of the Dodgers, there's no petty jealousies right there, and they are controlling sort of the cockiness that Puig has exhibited sometimes in the minor leagues. They're letting him have fun without showing up the other team, because I can guarantee you they're having fun with it, but that other team is going to try to bait him into losing control and losing his composure if he has an off night.
First guy since 1921 with at least those 3 home runs and 9 RBIs in his first 4, and he's got half of the RBIs since he left Chattanooga. And talking about what Steve just mentioned about how they put this guy out on his own and let him handle this moment. Last night, after the grand slam, he was the only guy who took the field all by himself to right field with a standing ovation. Dodgers and the Braves. Vince Scully coming up. We'll see you after the game.
California Hyundai dealers. Come in and test drive the sleek, stylish Sonata today. By AT&T UVerse TV. Check availability at 1-800-PIC-ATT. And by Jack in the Box. The Chipotle Chicken Club Combo is back for a limited time. Hi, everybody, and a very pleasant Friday night to you, wherever you may be. Welcome to Dodger Stadium. A beautiful evening. Dodgers taking the field, led by their young sensation, right fielder Yasiel Puig, as the Dodgers try to make it 2 in a row against the Atlanta Braves, who swept them when the Dodgers visited Georgia. For the Dodgers, 7.5 behind Arizona. They have finally, for the second time, gotten one game above 500. Meanwhile, Freddie Gonzalez, the young man from Cuba who knows all about Puig, bringing a very good Atlanta Braves team here. And we'll take a look at Freddie's lineup card. And Drelton Simmons leads off at short. Jason Hayward in right field. Justin Upton in left. Freddie Freeman hits cleanup at first base. Evan Gattis behind the plate. Chris Johnson at third. Dan Uggla at second base. B.J. Upton in center field. And Paul Maholm on the mound. On the mound for the Dodgers, Hyun-Jin Ryu tuning up. He is 6-2 with the league. He had a shutout last time out against the Angels right here at Dodger Stadium. He did work against the Atlanta Braves when the Dodgers were in Georgia. He had no decision. He went 5 innings and allowed only 2 runs. Dodgers went on to lose the game. So Ryu, for the second time, is matched up against Paul Mahalam, and the Dodgers hosting the Braves 2 more games. Remember, tomorrow night and Sunday afternoon, followed by the Arizona Diamondbacks on the 10th, 11th, and 12th. So we still have a lot of good baseball left. After tonight, 5 more here at Dodger Stadium before the ball club goes out on the road to play Pittsburgh, the Yankees, and then a 4-game series down south with San Diego. After the Arizona game on the 12th, the next Dodger home game would be on the 24th against the San Francisco Giants. So Hyun-Jin Ryu about ready to pitch to Andrelton Simmons, the young man from Curacao. Had an 11-game hitting streak snapped last night. Simmons had that long streak, longest in the Braves this year, takes a strike, and we're underway. The young shortstop, and they say, although we haven't had to see it yet, he has a great arm, hitting .254. Ryu comes back, and it's bunted, charging, bare hand picked up by Cruz, and too late. In fact, we called it Cruz the shortstop. It's Hairston playing third base tonight. So Simmons a bunt single to third, and we're underway. Let's take a look at the Dodgers. Gonzalez and Ellis, Cruz and Hairston, Van Slyke, Ethier, and Puig in the outfield. Ramon Hernandez behind the plate, and Ryu on the mound. Lovely evening, 66 degrees at the start of the night. Jason Hayward, 2 for 4 in his first game here, takes a strike, and the count 0-1. Last night he singled in his first at-bat and singled in his last at-bat. Struggling has been on the DL, hitting .185. Simmons held on by Gonzalez, and the pitch is low. 1 ball and 1 strike the count. Andrelton Simmons with that base hit is 2 out of 3 in stolen bases. So the kid from Curacao held on by Adrian Gonzalez. Hairston plays in on the grass, and a full swing foul at the plate, and a 1-2 count to Jason Hayward. Hayward struggling, had been 0 for 19, finally broke out of it with a base hit last Monday. For the last little more than 2 weeks, he's hitting .242. The next pitch is chased and missed. It was way off the plate, and Jason went after it. But of course, for the Braves, winning is one trademark, and striking out is another. I mean, here you have a ball club 6.5 in front of Philadelphia, and they have 545 strikeouts. It's amazing. So 1 away. And the batter now is Justin Upton. And when you talk about strikeouts on the club, you talk about the 2 Upton boys, Justin 71, BJ 68, and then Dan Ugla 75. And the first pitch off the plate, ball 1, 1-0. BJ in the dugout, a little bit older, a couple of years older than Justin. Upton has 14 home runs, 29 runs batted in, takes a strike on the corner, 1 ball and 1 strike. So the Upton boys, a tremendous brother act, and of course BJ was playing in Florida for the Rays, Justin was playing in Arizona, and they've been reunited in Atlanta. Now the 1-1 pitch instead, a throw to first. Justin Upton, born in 1987, and his brother a couple of years earlier, to be exact, 1984. So BJ's 3 years older. Ryu looks at first, back he comes, and it's foul to the screen, and the count 1 ball and 2 strikes. The Braves, and we mentioned it last night, they have a rather remarkable record should they score first in a game. They are 25-3 if Freddie's gang gets on the board first. Of course, last night the Dodgers got a run in the second inning and were never headed. The next pitch is low, and the count runs 2 balls, 2 strikes. Hyun-Jin Ryu, 6-2. He made 11 starts. He has a complete game shutout. A good ERA, 2.8. Ryu comes back, misses down and away, though he runs the count all the way to Justin Upton. Game 2 of the 4-game series. The Dodgers, as you probably know, worrying about Sunday. They do know Stephen Fife will pitch tomorrow night at 7:10 against Chris Medlin. 3-2 pitch is fouled away. So Fife and Medlin tomorrow night, but whether it is Lilly, we're not sure. Mike Minor will definitely be on the mound for Atlanta. Dodgers 1 game above 500 as Ted Lilly along with Josh Beckett look on from the Dodger dugout. 3-2. Simmons holding at first on the last pitch. Ryu looks at him, back to the plate, and it is swung on. A ball hit in the air to left field, and under it is Van Slyke for the out. Back to first base goes Simmons. So fly ball to left, 2 down, and the batter will be Freddie Freeman. Freddie Freeman, really a spearhead of a ball club that's so successful at home. The Braves are 21-7 at home, and Freddie has 40 RBIs, 26 of them at home. The first pitch of the left-hand hitter is off the plate. 1 ball and no strikes. Freddie's from Orange, California. In fact, he's one of 5 Braves who are from this part of the country. Gerald Laird, Reed Johnson, Chris Medlin, and of course only Terry Pendleton coaching at first. The next pitch missing, and a 2-ball no strike count. Terry Pendleton, welcome back. 1991 batting champ and most valuable player. 2-0 pitch on the way, swung on and missed. 2-1 the count to Freddie. Struck out twice last night, singled and fly to center. So Ryu has 2 down, a runner at first on a bunt single, and trying to take care of Freddie Freeman, and instead it's a line drive base hit to left field. Up with it is Van Slyke, and Freeman makes a turn and holds on. So first and second with 2 out, and Evan Gattis coming up. There was an old song years ago at the Ask Me I Could Write a Book, and certainly there could be a rather interesting book written by Evan Gattis. He's out of Forney, Texas, went to the University of Texas. He spent 3 years away from baseball, just didn't play baseball after high school. He got tired of it at Texas A&M, and for 3 years he just drove around the country living out of his pickup truck. Gattis takes high, a breaking ball, ball 1. He performed odd jobs to keep himself together. He was a janitor, he was a cook, he was a valet, and a ski lift operator. And finally, after 3 years driving around, he went back to school and picked up playing baseball. The 1-0 pitch is hit in the air to right field down the line. Puig coming over to the chalk and makes the catch for the out. No runs, 2 hits, 2 left. And at the end, at 0.5. Braves 0 and the Dodgers coming up. up and make way for the leadoff man. That, of course, would be Yasiel Puig. Puig, who just goes beyond the imagination, certainly did it last night with the grand slam home run in the 8th inning. So we are backing off when they announce his name. I'm sure he'll get a warm welcome as young Yasiel makes his way to home plate. For Puig, hitting .438. He has 7 hits. Good enough for the home runs and 9 runs batted in. So here he is, and he gets the roar. And into the first inning as Mahalam delivers, and the first pitch fouled away, 0-1. So no balls and 1 strike to Yasiel Puig. Bill Dwyer, the fine columnist for the LA Times, sent me a note that he had received from a fella in Barcelona who, listening to the ball games, and says we are mispronouncing Puig's name. Strike 1 pitch is high. This fella claims that over there you pronounce it Pudge. However, we've done considerable checking, and even in Catalan, which is a province in northern Spain, north of Barcelona, it's still Puig. It's a high fly ball, very playable in right center. B.J. Upton is there to make the catch, and we have 1 away. So now that Yasiel Puig has had his at-bat, 1 down, we can take a look at the Dodger lineup. Mark Ellis coming up at second. Adrian Gonzalez at first. Scott Van Slyke in left. Jerry Hairston at third. Andre Ethier in center. Ramon Hernandez the catcher. Luis Cruz the shortstop. Hyun-Jin Ryu the pitcher. One last note on Puig. We checked with Jaime Jarrín. We also checked with Mike Brito. And that name, Puig, is the way they pronounce it in Cuba. One of the famous singing stars in Cuba. His name is Roberto Puig. The pitch is off the plate, 1 ball and 1 strike. So 1 out, bottom of the first, no score in the ball game. Paul Mahalam out of Mississippi, originally a first-round pick by the Pirates. And the left-handed pitch swung on and fouled down the line. 1-2 the count. Mahalam spells that name M-A-H, and you pronounce it almost M-U-H, Mahalam. He was drafted by the Twins way back in 2000, but decided to go to Mississippi State instead. His 1-2 pitch low in the dirt, 2-2 the count. Paul and his wife Jessica a few years ago bought a home in Ocean Springs, Mississippi. And just before he made his debut in the major leagues in 2005, the home stood right in the path of Hurricane Katrina. Here's the 2-2 pitch, swung on, chopper at third, off the glove at third by Johnson, who can make the play. So Mark Ellis is aboard on a high chopper to third. Johnson tried to short hop and backhand the ball, kind of made it harder than it was, and I'm sure it should cost him an error. Here are the Braves: Freddie Freeman, and then Uggla, Simmons, Johnson, Upton, and Hayward. Gaddis behind the plate, Mahalam on the mound, and it is an error charged to Chris Johnson. So 1 out, 1 on. Here's Adrian Gonzalez. So the veteran left-hand hitter, batting .327, takes a strike, and the count 0-1. Position is everything. Location is everything, and that has to do with the rookie Yasiel Puig. Mitch Poole has Puig lockering between Cruz, Adrian Gonzalez, and then Hanley Ramirez. Ground ball backhanded by Freeman. They get the force, the throw back to Mahalam, and they get the double play. So the Braves turn a good one, 3-6-1. No runs, no hits, an error, and nobody left. And at the end of an inning, no score. The Dodgers celebrate their 1963 World Championship. They'll have an old-timers game at 5:30 with former Dodger and Yankee greats. Be one of the first 40,000 fans, and you'll receive a 1963 World Series replica ring. For information, visit Dodgers.com/oldtimers. Chris Johnson, Dan Uggla, and B.J. Upton. Ryu makes his first pitch, and it's in for a strike, and they count 0-1. Chris Johnson out of Naples, Florida, went to State University, red hot of late, hitting .333, came over from Arizona. Takes a slow breaking ball that misses, and a 1-ball, 1-strike count. Ryu gave up 2 hits in the first inning, one of them a bunt single, but got out of it. Now the strike 1 pitch to Johnson inside makes him jackknife. 2-1 the count. Chris Johnson is the son of a former big leaguer, Ron Johnson, who's now the Red Sox first base coach. Interesting, the Red Sox drafted him and he passed. Ground ball, nice pick by Gonzalez. He feeds Ryu coming over in time for the out. So Chris Johnson grounding out. Gonzalez playing way off the line. Takes a hit away from him. And Chris goes back in the dugout a little unhappy. So a nice play by Adrian Gonzalez and a good throw to Ryu covering. 1 away. Of course, that's a Gold Glove over there. Dan Uggla coming up. Dan Uggla with a lot of power so far this year. 10 home runs, 21 runs batted in, but he has struck out 75 times. So he's hurting in that area, and he takes inside ball 1. Uggla last night struck out twice. The name Uggla in Swedish means owl, and the 1-0 pitch, that's in for a strike, and they count 1-1. Dan Uggla out of Louisville, Kentucky, lives in Columbia, Tennessee. The next pitch to him is swung on and missed. Fastball in on the hands. With the Marlins, he was a holy terror. He had 5 years with the Marlins where he hit over 30 home runs. The 1-2 pitch is taken low. He had 36 home runs 2 years ago for Atlanta. Wound up with 19 last year. Dan 2 years ago also had a 33-game hitting streak. So 2-2 the count to Dan Uggla. 1 out, second inning, no score. The next one waved at and missed. Pitch that was down and away. So Uggla strikes out for the 76th time. 2 strikeouts for Ryu. Pitch, late breaking ball, and Uggla badly fooled. Because that pitch would have fooled a lot of hitters. So 2 out. And now B.J. Upton coming up. The older brother checks in and takes a strike. B.J. hitting .153. He struck out 68 times. And the strike 1 pitch, that's another strike. B.J. Upton from Virginia, Norfolk. His true name is Melvin Emanuel. Strike 2 pitch outside. Interesting, the B.J. honestly stands for Boss Man Jr. His dad, Manny's longtime nickname, Boss Man, and he's inherited that. 1-2 pitch, a line drive, base hit to left, down the line, backhanded by Van Slyke. Quick recovery, and Upton holding with a 2-out single to left. That would be hit number 3 against Ryu, and it'll bring up Paul Maholm. So B.J. Upton at first, although he has stolen 3, he's also been caught 3, and doesn't figure he'll run with the pitcher at the plate. Maholm has 4 hits, 1 run batted in, and takes low and away on a half swing foul. 0-1 the count. Maholm 1 RBI, and he has struck out about half the time. 2 out, second inning, no score. Ryu at the belt, comes right back, and that's lifted off third down the line and heading towards the seats and back in. Hairston running down in pursuit, but he really wasn't even in the neighborhood. 0-2 the count to Paul Mahalam. Paul back up and waiting, left-hand batter. B.J. Upton, short lead at first, held on by Gonzalez. Ryu to the plate, breaking ball, slap foul upstairs up third, and the count remains 0-2. So Ryu trying to put Mahalam away, get out of the second inning. Mahalam, 31 years old, later on in the month. Ryu, another look at Upton, back with a breaking ball, and that's fouled away. No balls and 2 strikes they count to Paul Mahalam. Out of a stretch goes Ryu, another look over at first, back to the plate, and that's fouled away. So Mahalam hanging tough and fouling pitches off, and still up there, no balls, 2 strikes. We mentioned his home that was in the path of Hurricane Katrina. They said most of the area surrounding that home was devastated, and his home relatively unscathed. He swings at a breaking ball, and down he goes. Third strikeout for Ryu, gives up his third hit, and walks off at the end of an inning and a half. No score. By Van Slyke. Then it will be Hairston and Ethier against the left-hander Paul Mahalam. The Dodgers have done pretty well hitting against left-handers, in the sense their overall team batting average is .277. To really get where it's interesting, the Dodgers are 2 different teams against left-hand pitching. They are 8-3 against left-handers at home. They are 2-8 against left-handers on the road. Mahalam ready to work to Van Slyke, and the first pitch hit foul off first, down the line, back into the crowd. 0-1. Scott Van Slyke doing a solid job and also playing well in left field. 6 home runs, 11 RBIs, batting a hair under .260. Mahalam ready in the strike one pitch, taken low and away. 1-1. Tomorrow is the old-timers game, the Dodgers and the Yankees. The Dodgers will be managed by Tommy Lasorda. the Yankees will be managed by comedian Billy Crystal. And you can hook up Crystal and Mahalam. The off-speed pitch is away. 2-1 the count. It was back in 2008. And Billy Crystal was making a cameo appearance with the Yankees against Pittsburgh in an exhibition game in March. And Mahalam eventually had to pitch to Billy Crystal. He said it was a little nerve-wracking. I was trying to give him a strike so he could have fun with it. I'm glad I didn't have to watch it every day on TV that he got a hit off me. Mahalam's pitch is low, ball 3, 3-1. And he was trying to just accept Crystal as an ordinary hitter. Billy got a standing ovation, tipped his cap, milked the moment. The next pitch is a strike. Van Slyke throws his bat away and has to come back. 3-2. And for Mahalam, he said, I realized it was kind of good for the crowd, a thrill for Billy Crystal. But the clincher for Mahalam, he said, but after Crystal, I got a Hall of Fame lineup, and the next hitter was going to be Derek Jeter. So he can remember Billy fondly, but he'll never forget the moment and the game. 3-2 the count to Scott Van Slyke. Mahalam ready, left-handed delivers, and it is swung on and missed. So Van Slyke goes down, one away here in the second inning. That'll bring up Jerry Hairston. Mahalam with good stuff. Of course, looking over his career ever since we first saw him pitching for the Pirates. He was a 10-game winner in 07. He's won 9 a lot of times. And right now he is 7-4. So Paul ready. Here he comes with his first pitch, and that's low to Hairston. Ball 1. Jerry playing third base, hitting .254 with a home run and 7 runs batted in. On deck, Andre Ethier. Mahalam's 1-0 pitch. Fastball strike. Basically, his fastball maybe get as high as 92. He has a good slider, somewhat of a sinking changeup, and a curveball. Paul ready, and his 1-1 pitch on the way. Swung on, hit foul outside of third down the line. Mahalam, coming into the game, has walked 21, and he has struck out 56. Beat the Dodgers in Georgia. He is just 2-5, however, lifetime. Mahalam looks down the barrel. Hairston waiting. Paul's 1-2 pitch on the way. Breaking ball low, 2-2. The Braves got Mahalam the end of July last year. They sent 2 pitchers to the Cubs, picking up Mahalam and outfielder Reed Johnson. Mahalam ready, and his 2-2 pitch. The right hand hitting Jerry Hairston. It is a little low. Fastball at the knees. 3-2 the count. With Mahalam and Ethier waiting on deck, among other things, he's gotten a lot of run support. Braves averaging more than 5.5 runs a game for him. He gets his share of double plays. They've turned 8 behind him. 3-2 pitch. Hairston pulls away on ball 4. So the Dodgers get a base runner on the walk to Hairston. And Andre Ethier coming up. Runner at first, 1 out, second inning. No score in the ball game. Andre Ethier is hitting .231 against left-handers, .233 against right-handers. So his overall average is right in the middle, .232. So Andre waiting as Hairston takes his lead. A look by Mahalam and the left-hander to the plate and starts him with a strike. 0-1. Andre checking with Tim Wallach. Hitting behind Ethier, the veteran catcher, Ramon Hernandez. Mahalam at the belt, looks over at Hairston, now back to the hitter, swung on, banged into left field for a base hit. Over to get it, Justin Upton, rounding second and holding is Hairston, and the Dodgers have runners at first and second with one out. So Ethier, a line drive base hit the other way. Went with a breaking ball. So the Dodgers 2 on, 1 out, and Ramon Hernandez coming up. Ramon Hernandez hitting .250 against left-hand pitching. Certainly one of the reasons he's in there. Another reason is the fact Ted Fedorovich, who has done such a tremendous job blocking pitches in the dirt, but last night he also struck out 3 times, so they figured to give him a rest. So here's Ramon batting .184, 2 home runs, 4 runs batted in. Mahalam delivers, ground ball to short, and Drelton Simmons for 1. They'll turn it for 2, and that's the inning. For the Dodgers, no runs, 1 hit, 1 left. And at the end of 2, no score. Tuesday at 7:10, the first 50,000 fans in attendance take home a Dodger beach chair presented by Farmer John. For tickets, visit Dodgers.com/promotions. Tuesday, of course, will be the middle game of the 3-game series with Arizona. So take a seat. Third inning, no score in the ball game. It'll be Simmons, Haywood, and Justin Upton, top of the order. Simmons bunted for a base hit, first time up. Takes outside, ball 1. We mentioned earlier the fact that Mahalam gets double plays. He had 8 coming in. Well, he got a double play in the first inning, a double play in the second inning. So he's now had 10 double plays turned behind him. Simmons, meanwhile, out in front. And the count 1 ball and 1 strike. Young man from Curacao, right-hand batter. Now the 1-1 pitch on the way, and that's low, ball 2, 2-1. Last night, Andrelton Simmons from Curacao faced Kenley Jansen from Curacao with a runner at first. The pinch hitter, Jordan Schaefer. 2-1 pitch on the way, fouled away. With Schaefer going, Simmons hit a fly ball to center. The combination of Schumacher and Punto made the big deal around the bag as if it was a ground ball. Schaefer went into the bag head first, got up and failed to touch second base and went back to first. Dodgers called him on it and got the fly ball double play. Simmons pulls one foul outside of third down the line. 2-2 the count. The look on Jordan Schaefer's face was something to behold. A young player victimized by the rule book. And what a wonderful call it was by C.B. Buckner, the umpire, who was there to spot it. I mean, it was the blink of an eye, but he got it right. Ground ball to short, waiting for it is Cruz. Throws in the dirt, backhanded by Adrian, and one away. Not a good habit to get into, waiting on the ball, but I guess Cruz felt he has the arm strong enough to make the play. One down. And the batter will be Jason Hayward. Hayward struck out in the first inning. Fine ball player. We were talking about it last night. I don't know of a young player who played as many games as Jason Hayward before he even turned to be a pro. He was on a traveling team all year. He played hundreds of games. 1-0 pitch on the way is inside, ball 2. Hayward in his first major league at bat, boom, a 3-run home run. He's from McDonough, Georgia. Jason is 6'4", about 235, bends at the knees and waist and fouls it off. So he does not take advantage of his height. Takes a little bit away from the pitcher as far as the strike zone. 2-1 to Jason Hayward. His team in high school in McDonough, Georgia, the Dodgers. Now the 2-1 pitch coming up. Ryu ready, works it off the plate. 3-1 the count to Jason Hayward. Waiting on deck, hitting behind Hayward, Justin Upton. Now the 3-1 pitch, and that's in there for a strike. 3-2. Hyun-Jin Ryu, the last name Ryu means willow, for the willow tree. And the 3-2 pitch is swung on, fly ball to right field. Puig comes in a few steps, one hands it. 2 down in the third, and Justin Upton checking in.
Justin Upton.
As good as the Braves are, and as formidable as they are, sitting atop the National League East, 6.5 games in front of Philadelphia, they're only break even on the road. They come into this game, Freddie's club, winning 16, losing 16. They do beat up on the East. They've won 15 of 21 in the division. And the pitch to Upton, a strike, which of course gives the Dodgers a headache when they think of what they've done within the Western Division. The Dodgers are 8-19 in the West. One reason, they've been just crushed by Arizona and the Giants. Upton fouls another one away. Dodgers have lost 5 out of 6 to Arizona and 5 out of 6 to the Giants. They're not going to go anywhere in the division where you've lost 10 out of 12 to 2 of the front running teams. Justin waiting, no balls and 2 strikes. Ryu ready, here he comes, fouled away into the stands, lower deck. Upton's last home run was a grand slam to beat the Dodgers in Atlanta. He hit the slam against Paco Rodriguez. That was 17 games ago. Here's the strike 2 pitch. Fastball, check swing, no swing. C.B. Buckner looking down the line. So 1-2 the count to Justin Upton. Ryu thought he had a good one, trying to sneak that fastball on the outside corner. Check swing by Justin. 1-2. Ryu again ready. Here he comes. Another fastball, and that's low. 2-2 the count. Justin Upton has hit as many as 31 home runs. Did that 2 years ago. Here's the 2-2 pitch on the way, fouled off. In 2010, that was his third year, and he fell off a bit because in 2009 he had 26 home runs. In 10, just 17. Came roaring back in 11 and hit 31. The 2-2 pitch on the way is taken just low. Ball 3. A lot of controversy over the deal. Upton coming to Atlanta for infielder Martin Prado. However, Arizona is doing a good job, and they're very happy with Prado. They're leading the West by 2.5. The next pitch is strike 3 called. The Justin Upton strikes out. Down go the Braves. And at the end of 2.5 innings, no score. And Hyun-Jin Ryu, no score. And for the Dodgers, it'll be Luis Cruz, Hyun-Jin Ryu, and then Yasiel Puig. Cruz hitting 134 with a home run, 6 runs batted in. But he's been on base, and he has scored 9 runs in his last 10 games. So Mahalam waiting for him to settle in, and we're about ready in the bottom of the third. First pitch in for a strike, and the count 0-1. Dodgers with 1 hit, a base hit by Ethier. Mahalam ready, and the strike 1 pitch, and that's a trifle low. 1 ball and 1 strike. Paul Mahalam, a professional pitcher, and he paid the price. The price was called upon May 15, 2004. Pitched to Cruz low. He was pitching in Class A. He was pitching for Lynchburg, and he was hit in the face. A line drive right at his nose. 2-1 pitch swung on, ground ball to short. Simmons gets it over there, and we have 1 away. The price that Paul Mahalam paid for that line drive, fractured his nose, the orbital bones around his left eye. It was a very serious injury. He had surgery, and doctors put 3 titanium plates around his left eye. They also reconstructed his nose. But as he said, Could have been worse. Could have lost my eyesight or could have been killed. The pitch in for a strike. Interesting, too, talking about a professional pitcher as Ryu is up there. Less than 16 months later, after being hit in the face, Mahalam went out to the mound, pitched 8 scoreless innings against the Milwaukee Brewers and won his major league debut. 0-2 the count to Hyun-Jin Ryu. He looks a little low. Ryu has a half a dozen hits. Pretty good hitting pitcher. Maybe not as good as Zach Greinke, but he's not bad with the bat. 1-2. Next pitch is fouled at the plate. So Ryu hanging tough. No runs, 3 hits, 1 error for the Braves. No runs, 1 hit, no error for the Dodgers. In the third, Mahalam ready. Left hand is 1-2 pitch down in Ryu's feet. 2-2 the count. So Paul Mahalam has been through the wars. 31 years old, 6'2", 220. The 2-2 pitch is just fouled off. Short swing by Ryu. Just trying to protect the plate. Waiting on deck, Yasiel Puig. Now the 2-2 pitch on the way. Fastball grounded to short. Simmons is on it. Just flips it over for the second out. 2 down in the third inning. And here comes Yasiel Puig. Fly to center in the first inning. When you look at some of the hard facts, he's one of 3 players ever with 3 home runs on a grand slam in his first 4 games. Dave Kingman did it. And Will Middlebrooks, who came up last year and did it with the Boston Red Sox. So let's see what Puig can do this time. First pitch to Yasiel, ground ball, a 1-hopper to short. They'll throw to first easily. So 3 ground balls to the shortstop. Very easy inning. 3 innings in the books. And at the end of 3, no score. Twitter poll to continue our poll from yesterday. What Dodger do you think will hit the most home runs this season in this series, these 4 games? Adrian Gonzalez, Yasiel Puig, or Scott Van Slyke? Tweet #home run and then either Gonzalez, Puig, or Van Slyke. And stay tuned. We'll get your thinking. Gonzalez grounded into a double play in the first inning. Puig has fly to center and grounded out, and Van Slyke struck out. By the way, the pitchers have been pretty patient hitters. Mulholland struck out in the third inning, and Ryu grounded out in the bottom of the third. Mulholland saw 6 pitches before he struck out, and Ryu saw 7 before he grounded out. Fourth inning, no score. And first pitch lifted to left field and deep. Van Slyke with the ball over his head plays it off the base of the scoreboard, but it gets away. Picked up by Ethier, and into second base with a double goes Freddie Freeman, who has a single and a double in this second game and 3 hits so far in the series. So a left-hand hitter driving it over the left fielder's head. Van Slyke appeared to be deep enough, but that ball was hit out there in a hurry. So now Evan Gattis coming up. Gattis, a National League rookie, leading the major league in rookies with 13 home runs and 33 runs batted in. Scott Van Slyke is second with a half a dozen, and of course down on the list Puig with 3. 1 ball and no strikes to Evan Gattis. The boy who walked away from it decided to come back and found himself a solid job. 1 ball and no strikes. 1-1. We mentioned the fact of all the different jobs: janitor, cook, valet, ski lift operator. As he said, as a valet or valet, he drove some pretty sweet cars, drove some good-looking Ferraris. 1-1. And that's down the line foul, 1-2. Another job that Evan had, he was a ski lift operator. Had to make sure no one fell off the chair. Had to be quick to stop the lift. Then went back home in Plano, Texas to be a janitor, and eventually got back to baseball. Chopper wide of first. Gonzalez underhanding to Ryu, who hits the bag and then immediately gets ready to keep an eye on Freeman. So Gattis grounding out 3-1. Freeman at third, 1 out, and the batter is Chris Johnson. The biggest play last night really involved Freddie Freeman. You remember in the 7th inning, Tim Hudson was pitching a gem, losing 1-0. First and third, Freeman was the runner at third, and Ramiro Pena hit a fly ball to left field. Scott Van Slyke made the catch and then made a strong throw to the plate, and Freeman was unable to score, and that was huge. The pitch, a ground ball to Ellis with the infield up. They will keep Freeman, and 2 down, and Freddie is still there. Last night, had Freeman scored from third, they probably would not have batted for Tim Hudson. And certainly Freddie would have had Hudson out there pitching to Puig, probably not with the bases loaded in the 8th inning. So the fly ball, the failure to cash in Freeman, the good play by Van Slyke turned out to be the big play of the night. Well, here's Ugla. And ball 1 to Dan. Struck out in the 2nd inning. Yes, indeed. The boy from Louisville, Kentucky, was brilliant. And a banger by the diving third baseman Hairston, and the run comes in. So Ugla this time cashes in Freeman, and the Braves take a 1-0 lead.
Coming to the plate, center fielder B.J. Upton.
So Freeman carries it in. Ball was drilled. Hairston diving at it, but couldn't get close. And now B.J. Upton, who singled in the second inning, checking in. Freeman in the dugout, 1-0 Atlanta. Fastball hit right at Hairston. The quick out, and that'll be that. However, 1 run, 2 hits, and 1 left. Dan Uggla drives it in, and at the end of 3.5 innings, 1-0 Atlanta. Brought to you by your Southern California Kia retailers. Visit mysocalkia.com. By Time Warner, enjoy all the things you love better. Call 1-855-WANT-TWC. And by El Pollo Loco, crazy you can taste. 1-0 in favor of the Atlanta Braves, bottom of the 4th inning, and the Dodgers will send up Mark Ellis, Adrian Gonzalez, and Scott Van Slyke. Inside, ball 1. Ellis hit a ground ball to third hard. Chris Johnson made it a little harder, trying to short hop and backhand it. Got away for an error. 1 ball and no strikes. Ball 2. Mark Ellis bothered by a very difficult groin injury. Dodgers trying to be very careful with him. Mark came in hitting .268. And a hopper to short. Simmons in the dirt. Nice pick by Freddie Freeman.
First baseman, number 23.
So the last 5 batters, 5 consecutive batters, have hit the ball on the ground to the shortstop Simmons. Hernandez hit it to him, and they got the double play. Cruz, Ryu, and Puig all did it in the 3rd, and now Ellis does it in the 4th. And the batter is Adrian Gonzalez. Over in Arizona, Giants and D-backs scoreless in the 6th. Matt Cain locked in with Patrick Corbin. Remember Corbin? 9-0. He is also ready to face Ryu here on Wednesday. 2-0 the count. Adrian grounding into the double play. 8 home runs. 43 runs batted in. Two-0. A little roller to the right side. Uggla playing out on the grass. 2 down. So Mahalam is getting some ground balls, leading 1-0. And the batter now, Scott Van Slyke, who struck out in the 2nd inning. For the Dodgers, the only ball hit in the air was Yasiel Puig's fly ball to B.J. Upton in center field in the 1st inning. Everything else on the ground. And on the ground again. Chris Johnson winds up, lets it fly. So that's 7 in a row retired by Paul Maholm. And at the end of 4, Braves 1, Dodgers nothing. Saturday and Sunday, and then the Arizona Diamondbacks come in Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Dodgers go east to play the Pirates and the Yankees. Then they come back south to San Diego for 4, and the next homestand will be San Francisco on the 24th of June. 3 with the Giants, 4 with Philadelphia, and then the Dodgers go back out on the road again. Hyun-Jin Ryu found out something in his last inning. The pitch in for a strike to Maholm. 3 of the 5 hitters for Atlanta swung at the first pitch, and it produced a run. Off speed, that missed. 1 ball and 1 strike. That's over. Maholm struck out in the second inning. Ryu has now made 70 pitches. 1-2. Just off the plate. Hyun-Jin struck out Haywood, Ugla, Maholm, and Upton. Breaking ball missed. He's allowed 1 run, 5 hits. 3-2. Little comebacker. 1 away. Braves lead 1-0. We're in the 5th inning. And Drelton Simmons, the very busy shortstop, coming out, bunted for a base hit in the first inning and grounded out appropriately enough to the Dodgers shortstop. He's been the middleman, turning 2 double plays. Simmons hitting .257. Off speed and away, ball 1. Simmons had his 11-game hitting streak snapped last night. 1 ball, no strikes. Fastball, and he's late with it. 1-1. Simmons sprained his left thumb earlier in the year, but he only missed 2 games. He paid the price, sliding headfirst on a stolen base. Big bouncer to Cruz. So that's the second time Simmons has grounded to Cruz. Cruz has grounded to Simmons, so they're busy playing pepper with each other. And with 2 out, Jason Hayward. Hayward last year became the first Brave to record at least 20 home runs. He had 27. 20 stolen bases. He had 21. First Brave to do that since Andrew Jones in 2000. Jason, among other things, picked up his first Gold Glove last year. 1-1. He had an appendectomy in the middle of May. 2-1. Remember the story on Matt Holliday with the Cardinals? Had an appendectomy April 1st and scored the winning run April 10. Ground ball. Mark Ellis. So they are killing a lot of worms here. And at the end of 4.5 innings, Braves 1, Dodgers 0. Don't forget Sunday. The first 15,000 ticketed kids 14 and under will take home their own compression sleeve. Compliments of Wetzel's Pretzels. For tickets, visit Dodgers.com/promotion. 1 run, 5 hits for Atlanta. No runs, 1 hit for the Dodgers. Mahalam has been very much on his game. 10 ground ball outs. Only Puig is the only one who hit the ball in the air. Mahalam has made only 44 pitches in 4 innings. So on that rate, he'd wind up under 100 for 9. Meanwhile, Ryu has made 80 pitches, and that's a strike to Hairston. Hairston walked in the second inning. Has 3 big ones against Mahalam. Fouls this one back. 0-2. Hitting behind Hairston, Andre Ethier. Dodgers have had one little threat. A 1-out walk to Hairston was followed by a single by Andre Ethier, only to have Ramon Hernandez ground into a double play. 0-2. And that's going to go down the left field line, hooking in the corner, foul ball. Justin Upton over to take a look. And Gary back up, no balls, 2 strikes. Gary hitting .254. One hopper into left field. So Gary Hairston leads off with a single to left, and that will bring up Andre Ethier. It's only the second hit against Paul Maholm. Andre Ethier, as he checks in at the plate, has 7 doubles. And you know, he's had 6 straight years with at least 30 doubles, and that's a Dodger franchise record. He set it last year, breaking Jackie Robinson's previous record of 5 straight 30-double seasons. Hairston at first, and that's on the outside corner for a strike. 0-1. Andre hitting .236, 4 home runs, 15 runs batted in. Maholm with an eye on Hairston. Ground ball gobbled up by Freeman. They get one. Back to Maholm, not in time. So they got that double play in the first inning, but not this time. Force play 3-6. So 1 away, and Ramon Hernandez coming up. Braves have already turned 2 double plays tonight for Maholm, and they've turned 10 this year for him. So Ramon Hernandez coming up. 1 out, runner at first. Ethier does not do any running, period. Dodgers have not been very patient at the plate with Maholm. That's ball 1. He's gotten 13 outs so far in the game. 10 of the outs, he's made fewer than 3 pitches. Oddly enough, Ryu, when he was hitting, saw 7 pitches before grounding out. So the most patient Dodger hitter is the pitcher. 1 ball and no strikes to Hernandez. First ball hitting, ground ball is short. That's 1. That's 2. So Hernandez has grounded into 2 double plays. The Braves have turned 3 double plays and lead 1-0. Watching the Dodgers ground into 3 double plays in 5 innings. Stress. That's the magic word for a manager, which reminds us, on this day in 1991, Tommy Lasorda was managing the Dodgers, and they beat the Montreal Expos 7-1. For Tommy, it was victory career number 1,500. And you may or may not know, he wound up winning 1,599 games. Tommy managed a little over 3,000 games, so he did very, very well, like Walter Alston, who managed and won 2,040 games. Well, let's see about Mattingly, the Dodgers, and the double play, and we'll go back to this one. Paul Mahallam has induced the opposition to ground into 11 double plays. He keeps that ball down, and the Dodgers, like the others, just beating the balls into the dirt. Here now is Justin Upton. Upton flied to left and struck out. Oh and 1. And another strike. So Ryu trying to match pitch for pitch, but Mahallam has the edge, leading 1-0. A 2-out single by Dan Uggla to score Freddie Freeman is the difference. That's in the dirt. 1-2 the count. I love that story. August the 3rd last year, Justin Upton hit his 100th career home run as a Diamondback in Philadelphia. An hour later, his brother hit his 100th career home run. Ground ball wide to third. Hairston is on it. One away. Ryu has done well keeping the ball on the ground. He's allowed a fly ball by Justin Upton and a fly ball by Jason Hayward. So the Dodgers have managed one fly ball, led by Puig, and the Braves have hit 2 fly balls. So the outfielders have really probably had a little bit of problem concentrating, but the good thing, both pitchers throwing strikes. There's one. Freddie Freeman has singled and doubled, scored the run. Freeman batting .312. That's off the plate. Freddie's from Orange, local boy taken in the ball game. Little foul. Freeman hits it to left. He hit it over Van Slyke's head earlier. This time Scott makes the catch. So a nice play because Freeman hit the base of the scoreboard wall in the 4th inning and eventually scored. He puts Van Slyke on his horse and Scott makes it 2 down. The rare fly ball tonight. 2 out. Evan Gattis flied to right, grounded out. You look at Gattis, and if you watch him carefully, you realize he's one of the rare players playing this game without a batting glove. Ball 1. I had a reporter ask me the reasons why baseball games go longer than they used to. And I said with a straight face, the batting glove. One and 0. 1-1. One run, 5 hits for Atlanta. No runs, 2 hits for the Dodgers. You ever watch the hitters who wear gloves with the Velcro? Pull it open, pull it back, back out of the box, pull it open, pull it back. That's going to go foul. 1-2 the count to Evan Gaddis. Gaddis, a big fella, 6'4", 225, out of Forney, Texas. And they tell me that Forney, Texas, with a population of a little more than 14,000, is known as the antique capital of Texas. Last year, it was victimized by a tornado, but fortunately no deaths recorded. Backhanded out of the dirt. What a play by Jerry Hairston. So Gaddis crushes it, and Hairston makes it look easy, and it was anything but. That was a bullet. And he gets the hero's welcome in the dugout. And at the end of 5 1/2, 1-0 Atlanta. One to nothing. We have time for a Major League Baseball update. Arizona and the Giants, Kane and Corbin scoreless in the 7th. San Diego, Colorado 9-9 in the 7th. Padres picked up 5 in the inning. Cardinals knocked off Cincinnati 9-2. Adam Wainwright picked up his 9th win. So the General is very much onto his game. Dodgers will have Cruz, Ryu, and Puig in that order. A drive down the right field line, slicing, and goes foul. 0-1. Luis Cruz grounded to short in the 3rd inning. The Dodgers have grounded into 3 double plays tonight. The infield has turned 11 double plays for Mahalan this year. Popped in the air foul. Might have a play. Freeman, yes. 1 away. Anyway, the opponents grounding into double play leaders. Mike Leake has had his club turn 12. The same with Sarabia. And then you have De La Rosa, Cliff Lee, Adam Wainwright, and Paul Mahalan. Their infields have turned 11 for their pitchers. Here's Ryu, punches one down to Ugla. So now the Dodgers aren't wasting any time, just walking up and swinging away. 2 down. So for Mattingly and the Dodgers, they have 2 hits. There was a single by Ethier to left field in the 2nd inning, and a single by Hairston to left field in the 5th. They have gotten 1 man to second base and no one to third. So here comes Yasiel Puig. Fly to center, grounded to short, hitting .389. Time. Running up as if to bunt. 0-1 the count. And a high fly ball. Is it playable? Let's see. It is in the stands. He's done it again to tie up the game. Yasiel Puig hits his 4th home run. He has 10 runs batted in. That's the 2nd time that he's come up with a game-tying home run. Remember his at-bat in Game 2 when he hit the 3-run home run to make a 5-2 game 5-5. Now he makes it a 1-1 game, and the batter is Mark Ellis. Take another look. Slow curveball and a mile-high fly ball. Upton went back, but it's 3 rows back in. For Mahalam, that would be the 7th home run that he has allowed. When he saw the ball go in the stands, Paul just looked and shook his head. That's going to go foul off to the right out of play. Let's take another look at that swing. Wow. The bat speed and the power. The full swing as the right hand comes off the bat. And look at the bench. Hanley Ramirez. Amazing story, isn't it? I mean, this winter people were saying, how could they give this unknown player all that money? And then you read where Logan White was quoted as saying, well, I only saw him take batting practice. You say, what kind of a deal is that? Well, that'll do it for Mark Ellis. What a deal it is, as Puig leads the way yet again. And we're heading for the 7th inning in a 1-1 tie.
Dodger, not.
By Farmer Boys. Get an award-winning Farmer's Burger topped with farm-fresh veggies, cheese, bacon, and avocado. By your Southern California Toyota dealers. And by the new Chicken Fajita Sub, only at Quiznos. We have moved into the 7th inning, another terrific game, and once again, a bolt of electricity and a home run by Yasiel Puig. And we have a 1-1 tie. It will be Chris Johnson, Dan Ugla, and B.J. Upton. Way out in front of the change, 0-1. Chris grounded out twice, 0 for 2. One ball and one strike to count. Chris Johnson. Chris from Naples. Went to Stetson University. 6'3", 220, a chopper to the right side. Mark Ellis. One away. That'll bring up Dan Ugla. Dan Ugla, out of Louisville, Kentucky, lives in Columbia, Tennessee. 5'11", 200, ball one. Dan's family has roots in Sweden. That name traces back to the 1300s. Swedish nobleman. The Owl. By the way, in talking about home runs and Puig, how about Dan Ugla? 4 years ago, he became the quickest second baseman to reach 100 home runs. 2-1. By September of 2009, Ugla had homered in an amazing 24 Major League parks in his 4-year career. Dan was the first second baseman in Major League Baseball history to reach the 20 home run mark in each of his first 5 seasons, passing the great Joe Gordon of the New York Yankees, who did it 4 years in a row. Check swing. 3-2. So Ryu tied up 1-1, and we're in the 7th. Rio has now made 100 pitches. Ball 4. So that's the first walk given up by Ryu. Mahalam walked Hairston, so the pitchers have been throwing strikes. And the batter now is B.J. Upton, who singled to left and hit into a force play. One out, 7th inning, a 1-1 tie. B.J. hit 28 home runs last year for the Rays. He's hit over 23 times. 1 ball and 1 strike. B.J. is 6'3", about 185. Played a lot of ball together with David Wright. 1-1. And line drive caught by Cruz. The throw not in time at first. So Upton lines to short. Ugla just does get back.
Pitcher number 28, Paul Mahalam.
Nice play by Luis. Ugla did not have a big enough lead to get doubled up. So Paul Mahalam has struck out, hit back to the box coming up. Mahalam has 4 hits this year. check for a strike. 0-1. To look ahead, when the Dodgers come up in the 7th, they'll have Adrian Gonzalez, Scott Van Slyke, and Jerry Hairston. 0-1. Giants got a couple of runs, a 2-out RBI single by Gregor Blanco. Kane has a 3-hit shutout. So they're going to the bottom of the 7th inning and make it 1-0 Giants. Matt Kane and Patrick Corbin, who is 9-0. That'll do it for Mahalam. Down he goes for the second time. So Ryu walks off, leaving a man, and at the end of 6 1/2, a 1-1 tie. For our Twitter poll question and results, what do you think? Who's going to hit the most home runs in this series amongst the Dodgers? Well, you figure Yasiel Puig, 58% goes with him, and so far he's leading the pack with a grand slam last night and the game-tying home run in the 6th. So he's done it again. It gets to be almost monotonous to say that, but just take a look. Monday, the game-ending outfield assist. Tuesday, 2 home runs and a double. Quietly 0 for 4 on Wednesday. That was quite a good experience for him because he struck out twice. Then he came roaring back last night with a grand slam, and he ties the game tonight. Meanwhile, Adrian Gonzalez, 1-1. Puig is now the first player in Dodger franchise history to hit 4 home runs in his first 5 games. First player ever in Dodger history. That's a lot of players. 1-1. Adrian going after a bad ball. 1 run, 5 hits for Atlanta. 1 run, 3 hits for the Dodgers. And down he goes. Mahalam is pitching a whale of a game. Just 1 pitch he'd like to have back. The home run to Puig.
Number 33, Scott Van Slyke.
He's 7-4 with the league. Beat the Dodgers in Georgia, but he's only 2-5 lifetime against them. He has struck out 3, walked 1. Struck out Van Slyke and also got him to ground out. Braves will have the top of the order in the 8th inning. Simmons, Haywood, and Upton. 2-0 to Scott. Van Slyke, 6 home runs, 5 doubles, though 11 of his 15 hits extra bases. 2-1. Meanwhile, Hanley Ramirez listening to young Puig. And that's a strike. So Van Slyke in a hole. Kenley Jansen gets up in the Dodger bullpen. Kenley appeared briefly last night, made 14 pitches. 2-2 to Scott Van Slyke. And did that hit him? Apparently not. Just did get out of the way of it. 3-2. Waiting on deck, Gary Hairston, who has walked and singled. Ground foul. Don't forget, they're at it again. The Braves and the Dodgers tomorrow night, 7:10. And again, Sunday afternoon. Tomorrow night, Stephen Fife and Chris Medlin. Off speed. Scott just did get a piece of it. Sunday is a question mark. Whether it'll be Ted Lilly, it'll definitely be Mike Minor. Minor, like Mahalam, is a left-hander. Dodgers have done well against left-handers at home. 8-3. And ball 4. So Van Slyke, a big at-bat to get aboard with a walk. That's the second walk given up by Mahalam. Freddie Gonzalez at the helm. He has a ball club. 11 players on the Braves are 25 or under. And of course the Braves feel like they're building up for another run. Remember, they won 14 straight National League pennants. So here's Hairston, 1 for 1, hitting .265. And a strike. Van Slyke does not figure to be doing any running unless it's part of a hit and run play. One and one to count. Mahalam has now made 76 pitches. 76 for him has been kind of a cutoff number. He's allowed 4 home runs after the 76 pitch. 2-1. He's allowed 19 hits. So right now he's in some rather uncharted waters. Two and 1. And ball 3. Anthony Bavaro begins to tune up down in the Atlanta bullpen. Mahalam has only made 78 pitches. It's been amazing. Most pitches in an inning, 15. And a high fly ball, very playable. Waiting for it, B.J. Upton. So 2 down, and Andre Ethier coming out.
Dodger center fielder, number 16, Andre Ethier.
Andre Ethier single to left and hit into a force play. Ground ball to the shortstop. So he has not been able to pull Mahalam. 2 out, 7th inning, 1-1 tie. And ball 1. We were talking earlier about Ethier and his doubles, 30 doubles, 6 years. He's reached the 20 home run mark 5 straight years, but off to a slow start with only 4 home runs this year. Mahalam gave up his 7th home run of the year to Yasiel Puig. One ball and no strikes. And ground ball to Ugla. So the Dodgers, no runs, no hits, leave a man. And at the end of 7, a 1-1 tie. Hairston playing third base, and the ball was crushed, and he short hops backhanded and made the play. That's certainly the gem so far tonight. And we go to the 8th inning. A lot of gems in this game. It's like a jewelry store. You have the base hit by Ugla, and for Dan Ugla, that was a big hit because before that base hit with 2 outs, his batting average with runners in scoring position, 4 for 38. That was 105, and Ugla came up with a clutch hit. And then Puig came up with a clutch home run. Wouldn't you know? So Ryu going to work. First ball popped up, Mark Ellis. So Simmons didn't hang around, pops it up. 1 out in the 8th, and Jason Hayward the batter. Jason Hayward struck out, fly to right, grounded to second. 1 run, 5 hits for the Braves. 1 run, 3 hits for the Dodgers. That's a strike. Dale Scott, the crew chief behind the plate. He's been umpiring in the big leagues on his 28th year. Foul back. 0-2. Jason Hayward trying to recover from that appendectomy. time. So Hayward strikes out. That would be 6 strikeouts now for Ryu. Look where Hernandez set up off the plate. That's where the pitch went, and that's where Hayward went after it. Two out, 8th inning, and here is Justin Upton. And now let's see, the pitch count is up to 111. Ryu is due to bat 3rd in the bottom of the 8th. And we'll see about Don Mattingly, whether he wants to keep Ryu in to face Upton. The interpreter asking Hunjin, no doubt, okay, and he nodded yes. All right, they obviously are all in agreement. The crowd agrees with keeping Ryu in the game. Justin Upton flied to left, struck out, grounded out, 0 for 3. Justin is 0 for 5 against Ryu this year. Ground ball of the hole, smothered by Cruz, had a double clutch, and it's safe. He didn't have the grip and had the double clutch. That was the difference. Made a fine stop. Take another look. Gonna smother it here. Now watch. Up and whoop, not quite ready. And that was the difference on the play. So it's a 2-out single for Upton. Great effort by Cruz. And it brings up the there's one, and there was the second grip. So now Hernandez going out to the mound. Freddie Freeman has a single and a double tonight. Freeman last night had a single. All of the base hits have gone to left field. Honeycutt checking with the bullpen. Paco Rodriguez got up if they want to bring him in to face Freddie Freeman. Whoever, remember, the pitcher is due up 3rd in the bottom of the 8th inning. And they will stay with Ryu, obviously. And now here comes Mattingly, and I would assume he will bring in Paco Rodriguez. So a great effort by Luis Cruz. Couldn't get Upton, and that means Ryu can't get out of the inning, but he can get out of the game. So he allowed 1 run and 6 hits, and gets a standing ovation. He made 112 pitches. We'll be right back. got 1 run, 6 hits, walked 1, struck out 6. But of course, the door is open. Justin Upton at first base is Ryu's responsibility, and Justin Upton has stolen 5 out of 6 this year. So Paco Rodriguez is asked to get the left-hand hitting Freddie Freeman, and you know what? That's not going to be easy. Freeman is hitting .311 against left-hand pitching, and he was 2 for 3 against Ryu tonight. All the while, a large crowd that paid attendance tonight, 47,164. So here's Freddie Freeman, graduate of El Modena High School in Orange, committed to Cal State Fullerton, but then signed with the Braves. Upton at first with 2 out. As we said, he has stolen 5 out of 6. Freddie Freeman last year had 23 home runs, 94 runs batted in. A wonderful young player. 23 years old. He'd be 24 the middle of September. Breaking ball, pull foul, 0-1. Checking Paco Rodriguez. Freddie Freeman, 1 at bat and walked. 0-1. Paco got a workout in the Clayton Kershaw game against the Padres. He came in relief, made 40 pitches, and gave up 3 runs. Breaking ball for a strike. Freddie started to pull the trigger, held back. 0-2. Upton at first with 2 out. 1-1 tie. 8th inning. Big bouncer up the middle into center. So you bring in a left-hander to pitch to Freddie Freeman, it doesn't make any difference at all. So Freeman is 3 for 4. The only difference, the other hits went to left field. Just went down to get it. Hit it right over the left shoulder of Paco and on through into center. So Mattingly coming out. Now you have Evan Gattis coming up. If the Dodgers bring in Kenley Jansen, the Braves might go to Brian McCann. We'll see. While we're pondering that and waiting for Mattingly, we'll be right back. live baseball everywhere you go. It's available for iPhone, iPad, Android, BlackBerry 10. At Bat delivers Dodger baseball with live audio, fit tracking, stats, news, highlights, and more. Text At Bat to 31826 or visit Dodgers.com. Dodgers, if you're keeping score, make a double switch. Juan Uribe comes in the game. He will bat ninth. Since Jerry Hairston comes out of the game, that's where Jansen goes. Evan Gattis, who is due up, is coming up. Gattis has had one at bat in the past against Kenley Jansen, and it was a home run. Gattis 0 for 3 against Ryu, flied to right and a couple of ground balls. Jansen pitched the 8th inning last night, made 14 pitches, and now dropped right back in the fire tonight. Upton at second, Freeman at first, 2 out, and Jansen versus Gattis. Fastball for a strike. Time for a moment. Hernandez gesturing to the club, keeping everybody in the game. 2 out, 2 on. Ramiro Pena, switch hitter and third baseman, is out on deck. He would bat for Chris Johnson. Gattis, big man at the plate, 6'4", 225. Time. In the inning, Simmons popped up. Hayward struck out. Upton hit a base hit to the hole at short. Luis Cruz made a great diving stop. As he got up, he had a double clutch. And by the time he got the ball to first, Upton beat it by a hair. That was enough for Ryu. And then they brought Paco Rodriguez in to pitch to Freeman, who hits left-handers even better than right. And Freeman came up with his 3rd hit of the night. 2 against Hyun Jin, and then that one by Paco. 0-1 to Gattis. 1-1. Evan will be 27, middle of August. Braves scored in the 4th. Dodgers scored in the 6th on a game-tying home run by Puig. That's popped up into right field, and calling is Mark Ellis. The Gattis pops it up. The Braves lead 2, and we go to the bottom of the 8th in a 1-1 tie. And Hyunjin Ryu, Mahalam just cutting down pitches to only 81. One reason his infield turned 3 double plays for him tonight to give him 11 this year. Hyunjin Ryu, he sailed through, although he had to make more pitches. He also struck out 6 to Paul's 3, and each gave up 1 run, where Ryu walked 1. Paul Mahalam has walked 2. But a great night of pitching, and here we are, bottom of the 8th in a 1-1 tie. Ramiro Pena is now at third base for Atlanta. And Paul Mahalam pitching to Ramon Hernandez, who is grounded into 2 double plays. And Popley bangs it into right field for a base hit. So now let's see if the Dodgers have a runner for the veteran catcher here in the 8th inning. Hernandez at first. We look over to the Dodger dugout. Nobody coming out. And the batter is Luis Cruz. Remember, with Juan Uribe on deck. Dodger run came in the 6th. Another lightning bolt from Yasiel Puig. Cruz grounded to short. Popped to first. And gets the bunt down. It's a fair ball, and the out recorded, advancing Hernandez to second. So the Dodgers have a tiebreaker at second with 1 out. Juan Uribe will be the batter. Cruz does his job, gets 5s. Freddie Gonzalez going out to the mound to talk to Mahalam and perhaps go to the pen. A great effort by Paul Mahalam. He and Hyunjin Ryu were absolutely marvelous. They go out 1-1, but of course Mahalam could lose. Ryu has nothing to do with it. We'll be back. Ryu, where Ryu has nothing to do with it. Mahalam still could lose the game, going out with a tiebreaker at second base. Paul went 7 1/3, allowed 4 hits, 1 earned run, struck out 3, had 3 double plays turned behind him. On the mound is Jordan Walden. You may remember he was with the Angels. He was a hard-throwing kid who reached 99 on the speed gun at one time. So you are really looking at Smoke City when you see Jordan Walden. 6'5", 240. And Uribe at the plate. And ball 1. Way back in 2006 as Uribe checks with Wallach, hitting .278. Walden was Baseball America's top-rated high school prospect. Fastball missed, ball 2. That's when he touched 99 in a Connie Mack game. His fastball has actually hit 101 on the gun. Then he has slider and a change. 2-0. And all the way to the backstop. And that went off the glove of the catcher, Evan Gaddis. So let's see whether it's a wild pitch or a pass ball. Evan Gaddis should have caught it. For Mulholland, there's that sinking motion now. Let's take a look. Yeah, right off his glove. Pass ball. So the infield now has to play up. 3-0 to count to Uribe. And you figured, looking to get at least a fly ball, they'd let him swing 3-0. On deck, Yasiel Puig. 3-2 to Uribe. All Walden did is come right back with a 97-mile-an-hour fastball. Three and two. And a ground ball to short, holding at third. Nowhere to go for Hernandez. So Uribe can't do it. And once again, they look to the kid.
He's right fielder, number 66, Yasiel Puig.
Last time up in the 6th inning, he hit one into the left field seats. Boy, you have it now. What a combination. You have a free swinger in Puig with all of his power against a guy who can throw 99 in Jordan Walden. And they're going to walk him intentionally and take their chances with Mark Ellis. And boy, that is a tribute. Freddie Gonzalez, besides a fellow Cuban, is going to get the free pass in this spot. So Walden walking, and Mark Ellis 0 for 3 coming up. Puig right now is hitting .421. This is also his first intentional walk. So first and third, 2 down, and it's Mark Ellis going up against Walden. And let's see about Walden versus Ellis. Ellis is 2 for 5 against him in the past. First and third with 2 out, 1-1, bottom of the 8th. Great game. Hope you'll be with us tomorrow night. Remember the Old Timers game at 5:30, and then the regular game at 7:10. And a strike. Mark Ellis in and out of the lineup, hitting a little more than .260. 2 home runs, 15 runs batted in. 1-1. That was an easy 95. Walden had right shoulder inflammation in the middle of May. Put him on the DL because he throws so hard. You can understand that. Ball 2. Waiting on deck, Adrian Gonzalez. We're in the bottom of the 8th inning in a 1-1 tie. Two and 1. 2-2. That was an 85-mile-an-hour slider. After a while, I guess up there you're looking at figuring everything's going to be 99. Nice save by Gaddis. Looking at Walden, who throws so hard. He has 2 wild pitches. There goes Puig, and a fly ball to right field. Haywood is there, and that's it. No runs, 1 hit. Dodgers lead 2. Walden able to take care of, save it for Mahalam, and it's 1-1 to the 9th. Yasiel Puig, by the way, when he hit his home run in the 6th inning, second ever with 4 home runs in his first 5 major league games. You might remember Mike Jacobs, left-hand hitter, played a little bit with the Mets, bounced around a bit. As far as Hyun-Jin Ryu, he went 7 2/3, allowed 1 earned run, coming off a 2-hit shutout, remember, against the Angels in his last start. Paul Mahalan matched him pitch for pitch. And all of a sudden, we go to the 9th inning. So Puig has gotten a lot of adoration from the crowd, and he got a tip of the cap tonight from the manager, Freddie Gonzalez, by walking him intentionally in the 8th inning. All right, 9th inning, 1-1. Ramiro Pena will lead it off. Switch hitter batting left-handed. Finishing up for Chris Johnson at third base. Hitting .318. And a strike. Tough break for the Arizona Diamondbacks tonight. They won their ball game against the Giants. Remember Daniel Hudson? He won 16 games for the Diamondbacks back in 2011. 1-1. He's been out since last July. He had Tommy John surgery. In a rehab start, he retore the ligament tonight, and he'll have to have a second Tommy John surgery. Maybe he'll talk to Chris Capuano to get a little courage, inspiration, and not get depressed. Bad ball. Pena chased it 1-2. There was also good news about the Diamondbacks tonight. Matt Ken leaving after allowing a leadoff single to start the 8th inning. Kane left. They gave the ball to Jeremy Affeldt to protect the 1-0 lead. And Paul Goldschmidt hit a 3-run home run. Well, is he having a year? Goldschmidt has 57 RBIs now. That's going to go foul. Heath Bell came on to save it. Arizona beats the Giants 3-1. So Arizona wins their 35th game, and the Giants fall 3.5 back. 1-2 to Ramiro Pena. Pena from Mexico. He was originally signed by the Yankees back in 2005. Came up in 09 and played in 69 games and hit .287. Came up in 2010 and hit .227. Then in 11 he hit 100. In 12 he hit .250. And then the Braves got him. Here he is. Still up there, 1-2. Pena, an even 6, 185. And will be 27. He's a good bunter and a fine glove. One and two the count. And a high foul ball. Uribe watching, reaching, can't make it. Pena battling up there at the plate. This will be the 8th pitch he has seen. Two and two. It's been Ryu, Rodriguez, and Jansen, Mahalam, and Walden. And the starting pitcher, brilliant tonight, Ryu versus Mahalam. They go out 1-1, neither involved with the decision. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Got him. And what Jansen did, and he throws pretty hard, but he took a lot off that pitch, and Pena way out in front of it.
Second baseman.
Little breaking ball, and down he goes. So 1 out, and Dan Uggla, who has had the big hit. Uggla had struck out, came up with 2 out, and a runner at third in the 4th inning. And got that base hit. He was 4 for 38, hitting 105 with runners in scoring position when he got that clutch 2-out RBI. Dodger run was the home run by Puig, and here we are in the 9th. 1 ball and no strikes. Dropped that breaking ball in nicely. 1-1. A reminder, Dodgers Live will be coming up after the game. We're in the top of the 9th. 1 run, 7 hits for Atlanta. 1 run, 4 hits for the Dodgers. Ball 2. Two and 1 to Dan Uggla. And a high fly ball to straightaway center. Ethier looking up into the night. Two down, top of the 9th, and the batter is B.J. Upton, who has hit the ball hard all 3 times. Single to left sharply. Hit into a force play, ripped it right at Jerry Hairston, and then last time up, hit a line drive at shortstop Cruz. So Bossman Jr., B.J. Upton. And a strike. Upton letting Dale Scott know that he didn't think it was a strike. First round pick by the Rays. Brian McCann is out on deck. 1-1. Checking Kenley Jansen and BJ. First time they faced each other. 1-1. And ball 2. BJ, first round pick in 2002. They first spotted B.J. Upton when he was throwing 56 miles an hour on the gun. By the way, he was 8 years old. 2-2. It was at a summer camp, and they were testing arm strength. Yeah, maybe like that boy. And he was hitting 56 on the gun. He played 2 years in high school with David Wright. Three and two. See how close that is. A good call. Ball 3. Three and 2 with 2 out. Got him. Jansen comes in, strikes out 2. Braves go down in order, and we're heading to the bottom of the ninth. Gonzalez, Van Slyke, and a pinch hitter. 1-1. Ninth inning, the Braves scored their run back in the 4th. Freddie Freeman doubled to left, and with 2 out, Dan Uggla singled him home. The Dodgers tied it in the 6th when Yasiel Puig homered to left field to get the Dodgers in a 1-1 tie. Now in the bottom of the 9th, left-hander Luis Avilan from Caracas in Venezuela. Left-hander signed as a free agent by the Braves about 7 years ago. 24 years old. He signed originally with the Braves when he was 16. And he was called up to the majors last year on July 5th. Basically, with Avilan and Gonzalez knows, fastball, that's his #1 pitch. Gonzalez tonight grounded into a double play, hit back to the box, struck out, 0 for 3. Big slow curveball that dropped in for a strike. 0-1. Avilan is 2-0 in his 29th game. 11 walks, 11 strikeouts, so he's fighting it a little bit. Fastball. Hit 95 with that. No balls and 2 strikes, the count. The kid from Caracas facing Adrian Gonzalez. One run, 7 hits, 1 error for Atlanta. 1 run, 4 hits, no errors for the Dodgers. Great duel, Hyun-Jin Ryu and Paul Maholm. Breaking ball, did he? Yes, he did. So Gonzalez strikes out, fooled on the curve. Second time Adrian has gone down on strikes, and we have 1 out in the 9th. The batter will be Van Slyke. Van Slyke struck out, grounded to third, and walked. Dodgers had Hernandez get to third with 1 out in the 8th inning, and they couldn't get him home. They've had 1 other man who didn't stop at third, and that was Puig with his home run. Van Slyke 0 for 2 with a walk. Fastball, ball 1. He hits 94. Avilan is 6'2" and 200 pounds. Fastball away, 2-0. Coming out on deck to pinch hit for Jansen, Hanley Ramirez. Another fastball at 94, and they count 2-1. Avilan faced a few of the Dodgers. He did not face Van Slyke when the club was in Georgia. Just off the corner. So he's behind 3-1. With Ramiro, Pena guarding the line. Maybe 1 foot off. So a hole on the left side. And a drive into left field, but coming over is Upton. So Van Slyke a fly ball. 2 down in the 8th inning. And Hanley Ramirez will be coming up. Ramirez has not faced Avilan before. Brandon League is throwing in the Dodger bullpen. Hanley Ramirez appeared as a pinch hitter in last night's game and walked. He was at first with the bases loaded when Puig hit the grand slam. So he's been resting really last game and again tonight. 1-1, 2 out, bottom of the 9th. And ball 1. Almost hit him. if there is a 10th inning, it will be the pitcher spot for Atlanta. That would be Avalon, then Simmons and Haywood. One ball and no strikes. Slow breaking ball, but it stayed up. Van Slyke, Jansen, Gonzalez watching every pitch. Hitting behind Ramirez, Andre Ethier. Two and 0. Fastball hit in the air to right field, pretty deep on the track is Haywood, and puts it away. So down go the Dodgers in the ninth. Extra inning. We head to the 10th in a 1-1 tie. For the Braves, the pitcher Avilan due up, and it will be the catcher Brian McCann, who was on deck when B.J. Upton struck out to end the ninth. So McCann getting ready. The all-star catcher played last night's game. He was 1 for 4 with a single earlier on the road trip, and at home he picked up his 1,000th career hit. The two veteran catchers around home plate, Ramon Hernandez, Brian McCann, and here is Brandon Lee. In checking Brandon Lee and Brian McCann, McCann is just 0 for 1 against him. 400th career game for Lee. And a strike. So the pitcher's been in 400. The hitter has over 1,000 hits. Oh and 1 to Brian. And a high fly ball to left. Van Slyke going back, still on the grass. So one away on a fly ball to left.
Shortstop, number 19, Andrelton Simmons.
Andrelton Simmons, the shortstop, opened up the ball game against Rio with a bunt single. Since then, 2 ground balls to short, and he popped up. Simmons hitting .254. Young fella from Curacao. Ball 1. So while Avilan was in there, he made 11 pitches. On deck, Jason Hayward, the right fielder. One ball, no strikes. Ball two. Vanden Lee, an ERA 4.8. Though he has struggled a bit. He is 1-2 against the league. And ball three. He's walked 6, struck out 12, allowed one more hit than innings pitched. Three and 0. That's in there. Fastball hit the inside corner. Simmons runs pretty well. He's stolen 2 out of 3. Ground ball hard. Cruz stays with it. So that's the third time that Andrelton Simmons has grounded to Cruz. Cruz has grounded once to Simmons. So 2 out in the 10th, and Jason Hayward coming up. Hayward 0 for 1 in the past against Brandon Lee. Nothing to learn for that. He has struck out twice, flied to right, grounded out. And bangs it down the line, and Van Slyke is going to have to play it off the wall. Hayward flies into second base easily with a 2-out double, and Justin Upton will be coming up.
Coming to the plate, left fielder, number 8, Justin Upton.
So Lee gives up the double. Hayward going after it looked like a low fastball below the knees. Van Slyke had to wait till it got to the wall, so that assured Hayward, who runs very well, coming up with a double. For Jason, he has 6 doubles. Justin Upton flied to left, struck out, grounded out, singled in the 8th inning. That's when Cruz smothered the ball in the hole, had to double clutch, and just missed getting it. Ball 1. Hitting behind Upton is Freddie Freeman, who is 3 for 4. 2 singles and a double. 2 out in the 10th, and a 1-1 tie. Upton batting .254, but he has 14 home runs, 29 runs batted in, and a meeting at the mound. Atlanta traded Martin Prado to Arizona for him. A lot of the baseball experts thought that was a bad deal. However, the Braves are in first place, and so are the Arizona Diamondbacks. One ball and no strikes. Hayward a good lead at second. Only Mark Ellis can fake a little bit to hold him and lead. Cruz plays on the rim in the hole. No chance for him to figure. The Hayward can take a pretty good lead. One and one. With Upton's power, the outfield is very deep. Maybe Puig is up a few steps, but otherwise the other two are really back. And Hayward runs so well. You play the outfield that far back, be tough to get him. 1 and 1. Little slider off the plate. Ball 2. One run, 8 hits for Atlanta. 1 run, 4 hits for the Dodgers. Dodger run, home run by Puig in the 6th inning to tie it up. Crowd 47,164. And we sure hope you'll be out here with us tomorrow night if you can. And remember, the Old Timers game will start at 5:30. That's in there. Two balls, 2 strikes, and 2 out in the 10th inning. 1-1. Time. The Braves have been in 8 extra inning games. They are 6-2. The Dodgers have been in 4. They're 1-3. For the Dodgers, this would be their first extra inning game at home. The other 4 on the road. Two and 2 with Hayward, a tiebreaker at second base. Little nubber. Ramon. Boy, that was close. Whoa! The Braves thought he beat it. I'll tell you what, that was really close. Wow. Freddie's going to argue, but it's in the books. Ramon Hernandez almost lost that play. Take another look. It was that close. And we're heading for the bottom of the 10th in a 1-1 tie. Anthony Bavaro comes out of the bullpen to pick up. Back in December of 2011, Anthony Bavaro married Carrie Ann Thompson, Sacred Heart Church in West Brighton, New York. Carrie Ann just happens to be the grandniece of Staten Island baseball legend and part of Dodger history forever, the giant outfielder by the name of Bobby Thompson. So Anthony Bavaro will be pitching now against the Dodgers. Andre Ethier, Ramon Hernandez, and then Luis Cruz. Basically, fastball, curveball, changeup. And the fastball has been clocked, they tell me, as high as 96. 0-1. Andre Ethier hitting .234. Single to left, hit into a force play and grounded out. 1 for 3. Navarro is 3-0 in relief. 1 ball, 1 strike, showing him that 95-mile-an-hour fastball. One reason, he has walked only 7 and he has struck out 22. The 3-to-1 ratio is very good. Back in 2005, Anthony underwent Tommy John surgery. Change, and he missed with it. So he went from 95 to 80. 2 balls and 1 strike. Anthony's 28. He'll be 29 the end of October. And a fly ball to right field. Haywood on the track. 1 away. Crowd on their feet on that fly ball, but Haywood showed you he had it all the way. So 1 down. Ramon Hernandez coming up. Hernandez twice grounded into double plays against Paul Maholm. And then leading off the 8th inning against Maholm, he singled to right field. 2 home runs. He has more home runs than any other active catcher. I believe it's 162. Make it 161. Ball 1. Maholm, Walden, Avilan, Navarro. And the Dodgers, Ryu, Rodriguez, Jansen, and League. He kind of waved at that fastball. 1-1. Ramon Hernandez, 37 years old. Been a pro since 1994. Signed by the A's. Played with the A's for about 5 years. Padres, Orioles, Reds, and Dodgers, and comes up with his 2nd hit. So the Dodgers have the winning run aboard. It'll be tough to get a veteran catcher around, however, and the batter is Luis Cruz. So the Dodgers have 5 hits, and here's Cruz. 0 for 2 with a sacrifice. And a wild pitch with Ramon going down to 2nd. So the Dodgers got a big break in the 8th inning on the pass ball. Now they get another break on the wild pitch as Freddie sees his 4th pitcher throw one to the backstop. No way Gaddis could glove it. That was at Cruz's feet. Navarro, as we said, 3-0. However, there is certainly a weak spot. That is his 6th wild pitch. One ball, no strikes. And a line foul. He hit it off speed pitch. That was a changeup, I think, and he cracked the bat. Yep. 1 ball and 1 strike. You just hear that thing like the celery stalk. Didn't break. It just had a sour sound to it. 1 ball and 1 strike. 1-1. Bottom of the 10th. On deck, Juan Uribe. So the Dodgers left a possible go-ahead run at third base in the 8th. Now they have a possible winning run at second base in the 10th. Left-hander Alex Wood is throwing in the bullpen. There he is. One ball and one strike. Fastball hit into left field, but can they score? Hernandez, no way. So a base hit by Cruz into left field, and the Dodgers had the tiebreaker at third in the 8th, and they now have the possible winning run with one out in the 10th. You have Uribe followed by Puig. Pitch was down out of the strike zone, but Luis singles sharply, but there isn't any way they're going to score Ramon Hernandez, so he'll stop at third. First and third, one out. Roger going out, the famous pitching coach, Roger the Dodger McDowell. He's back in the dugout. And Bavaro facing Uribe. Uribe with a runner at third in the 8th inning had the count 3 balls and no strikes. They green lighted him hoping for a fly ball. He swung and missed and eventually hit a ground ball to short. Well, now Uribe has a second chance, this time to win the game. Skip Schumacher has put on a helmet, and we're waiting to see. Puig is on deck, and Schumacher comes out. He will run for Hernandez, get some speed, let's say, on a fly ball.
For the Dodgers, pitch running number 3, Skip Schumacher.
So Schumacher running for Hernandez. Ramon comes up with his second hit. And now here is Uribe in the crowd of 47,164. See the Dodgers inch a little bit closer. And ball 1. Started him off speed. Uribe hitting .276. One ball and no strikes. A 1-out single, a costly wild pitch, and a base hit to left field. So the Dodgers have first and third. Schumacher running for Hernandez, the winning run. 1 out. And Puig on deck. In the dirt, gets away. Here comes the winning run. For Anthony Bavaro, that is his 7th wild pitch. Pretty tough for a kid reliever, and the Dodgers take advantage of it. They tear the shirt right off Schumacher's back, and Skip is saying, I didn't do anything, they just put me in the run. Well, the Dodgers will take it. For the Dodgers, 2 runs, 6 hits, and no errors. For the Braves, 1 run, 8 hits, and 1 error. The winning pitcher is Brandon Lee. The losing pitcher is Anthony Bavaro. And the Dodgers get a break, 2 wild pitches in the 10th inning, and get the victory. And the other Dodger run, of course, was the home run by Yasiel Puig in the 6th inning. So tomorrow, Game 3. And what's interesting, the Dodgers now have beaten the Braves twice. The Braves would appear to be two different teams. They are 21-7 at home. They are under 500 on the road. The Dodgers are now 2 games above 500 at home. And tomorrow night, Stephen Fife and Chris Mellon, Game 3 of the 4-game series. And again, a reminder, the old-timers game, Dodgers-Yankees at 5:30. Stay tuned for Dodgers Live coming up next. Good night, everybody.